Your gut is rebuilding itself right now. As I speak, and what you do in the next 3 weeks will determine whether it becomes your greatest ally or your silent adversary. Think of your intestinal lining as a living tapestry, constantly weaving and reweaving itself. Every 72 hours, the cells that form this delicate barrier are replaced entirely. This is not merely maintenance, this is perpetual revolution. Your body does not wait for permission to heal. It begins the moment you provide the right conditions. The question is not whether your gut can regenerate, but whether you will give it the materials and environment it needs to do so brilliantly. When we speak of gut health, we are speaking of an ecosystem more complex than any rainforest, containing trillions of microorganisms that outnumber your own human cells. These bacteria are not invaders, they are collaborators. They produce vitamins your own genome cannot manufacture. They train your immune system to distinguish friend from foe. They communicate directly with your brain through chemical messengers that influence your mood, your sleep, your very sense of well-being. This is not metaphor. This is measurable biochemistry. The first habit that transforms this inner world is the reintroduction of fermented foods into your daily rhythm. Notice I say reintroduction, because for most of human history, fermentation was how we preserved food. Our ancestors consumed bacteria not as supplements in capsules, but as living cultures in their meals. The second habit requires us to reconsider something we have been told is merely roughage, merely bulk. Fiber is not filler. Fiber is information. When you consume a diverse array of plant foods, vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, you are not just adding texture to your meals. You are feeding an entire civilization within you. Consider this carefully. The bacteria in your gut do not eat what you eat. They eat what you cannot eat. The cellulose in broccoli, the resistant starch in cooled potatoes, the inulin in onions. These pass through your stomach and small intestine, largely untouched by your own digestive enzymes. They arrive in your colon intact, and there they become a feast. Different types of fiber feed different bacterial species. This is why diversity matters so profoundly. If you eat only 1 or 2 types of vegetables, you cultivate only a narrow band of bacterial life. But if you eat 30 different plant foods in a wicked number, that sounds daunting but becomes natural with attention. You create a thriving, resilient ecosystem. The research shows us something remarkable. People who consume high amounts of diverse fiber have microbiomes that are not only more varied, but more stable. They weather stress better. They respond to illness more effectively. The third habit asks something of you that cannot be swallowed or chewed. It asks for time. Specifically, it asks for the space between meals. Your gut is not designed for constant input. The migrating motor complex, this is the technical name for a phenomenon most people have never heard of, is a wave of electrical activity that sweeps through your intestines during fasting periods, clearing debris, moving bacteria back where they belong, maintaining order. It only occurs when you are not eating. If you graze constantly, if you snack every 2 hours, this housekeeping system never activates. Bacteria migrate upward into the small intestine where they do not belong, a condition that can cause bloating, nutrient malabsorption, fatigue. In 21 days, you can retrain your eating rhythm. This does not require extreme fasting or deprivation. It requires simply allowing 12 to 14 hours between your last meal of the day and your first meal of the morning. For most people, this means finishing dinner by 7 and not eating again until 7 or 8 the next morning. In this window, your gut repairs itself. The migrating motor complex does its work. Damaged cells are cleared away, replaced by fresh ones. The bacterial populations The fourth habit is deceptively simple. Hydration, but not just any hydration. Water consumed away from meals, allowing your digestive enzymes and stomach acid to remain concentrated enough to do their work. When you drink large amounts of liquid with food, you dilute the very substances that break down protein, that kill unwanted bacteria, that begin the process of making nutrients available. Drink water upon waking. Drink it between meals. Let your digestion be undiluted, fierce in its efficiency. This small shift timing your water intake allows your stomach acid to maintain the low pH needed to properly denature proteins and activate enzymes. Poor protein digestion is not merely inefficiency. Partially digested proteins can trigger immune responses, inflammation, the very leaky gut we are working to heal. And here we must speak of something less tangible, but equally powerful: stress. Your gut and your brain are in constant conversation through the vagus nerve, through hormones, through those same bacterial metabolites we discussed. When you are chronically stressed, cortisol rises. Blood flow shifts away from digestion toward muscles, preparing you to fight or flee. This is useful when facing immediate danger. It is devastating when it becomes your baseline. Chronic stress literally changes the composition of your gut bacteria. Beneficial species decline. Inflammatory species proliferate. The fifth habit is subtractive, and it may be the most challenging. For 3 weeks, remove the substances that prevent healing from taking hold. Highly processed foods, refined sugars, industrial seed oils, artificial additives. These are not simply empty calories. They are disruptors. Emulsifiers in processed foods, compounds with names like carboxymelchilis, directly damage the mucus layer protecting your gut. Studies in both animals and human tissue show this clearly. The mucus thins. Bacteria come into direct contact with intestinal cells, triggering inflammation. Sugar feeds the exact bacterial species that promote inflammation and crowd out beneficial ones. Alcohol damages the tight junctions between intestinal cells, making the barrier more permeable. This is not moralism. This is mechanics. And here is where compassion must enter. Removing these foods is difficult, not because you lack willpower, but because many of them are engineered to override your natural satiety signals. Sugar activates reward pathways in the brain with an intensity that whole foods do not. Processed foods are scientifically designed to make you want more. So approach this habit with self-compassion. You are not weak for finding this difficult. You are human, navigating a food environment your biology did not evolve to handle.